Hello, welcome to our video tonight on our YouTube channel. We're glad you could make it here. Tonight we have an exciting conversation that we get to have with Tamie Dearen about how to make the USA Today bestsellers list with a box set. So we're going to get into that in a little bit, but first we kind of want to give an update on what we are working on right now. And I say right now, Michelle may be joining us eventually. Not sure. Amy, probably not, because she is on a much deserved trip with her husband. We're excited to have Tamie to make it look like we have more than just two of us. So this is great. So Victorine, do you want to tell us what you have been working on lately?
Sure. I am still working on my marketing book. I'm over 20,000 words in it, and I'm trying to pack as much information in there as I can, everything I know about marketing books and what's worked for me and what hasn't worked for me, and things that I see authors doing that I feel they're spinning their wheels on, things I see most often that are probably things they could maybe work on to do better, and just compiling all this information and having a blast doing it. So that's what I'm working on and trying to get it done by the deadline. So it comes out at the end of September. So working hard to get that done.
Cool. I'm excited for it. I know talking to you before I started publishing really helped me out. So you do know what you're doing, and I'm sure everyone who reads it will benefit. And then Tamie, have you been working on any fun projects lately?
Let's see. I'm working on a first book in a series that is going to end up taking a standalone and making it into a series. So I'm writing the prequel to that one, and then also I'm going to start working on my Christmas book, and then I have a few diehard fans that are killing me to finish my young adult fantasy series, and so, if I don't do that, I'll probably get murdered in my sleep. So I've got to work on that too.
Better do that. You need to live.
Yes.
That's awesome. I didn't know that you wrote young adult fantasy. That's cool.
Yeah, I've started that early. It's been a while since the third book, and the fourth one is long overdue.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's cool. So is that two genres for you then? So
I do sweet and I do Christian as well. I also have a mystery that is waiting to turn into a series and get published, so we'll see.
Awesome.
I like to kind of spread thin.
Yeah, that's cool. Someday I hope to branch out into other genres, but right now I don't have time. So, Michelle, now that you're here, want to tell us what you've been doing lately?
I have been trying to catch up with my crazy life since the conference. I've been brainstorming, I've been outlining, I've been making series calendars, I've been doing marketing stuff, and I've written about 800 words in the wrong book. And that's all the writing I've gotten done for the last week or so. 2 weeks, I guess.
Well, that's awesome. Got to do all those other things too. So.
I know, it's necessary. And when you start doing business stuff, the more you do, the more you realize you still have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like this never-ending process.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's what we signed up to do.
And funny enough, one of the biggest projects I've been working on is trying to get the USA Today label on all my covers.
Oh, yeah. I still have a couple more I need to update.
Wow. So
I'm just glad I don't have like a million books like everyone. I'm like, I got this when I had only 14 instead of.
Yeah, like 30 something for me. And I was like, this is a really good reason to try and get it really early.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the people have like 50 books. I'm like,
yeah. I'm kind of on the light side. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And then for me, I have I've been working in my book, Friend Zone to End Zone, getting some words in that. I made myself set like a hard deadline so that I will be productive and get that done. So that has to be to my editor by the end of October, which I'm sure seems so far away to many of the quick writers that may be watching this. But for me, it's I'm at like 30,000 words now, and my books are usually 75,000. So yeah, I need to be good and write every day. And then also I've been having like shiny object syndrome and thinking a little too much about my next series that I really want to write, and thinking up titles and storylines and making covers and just having fun with that and hoping I can get to that soon. That's why I had to set that deadline, because I was having way too much fun thinking about that other series. So yeah, so that is what I have been doing. So now I'm going to just kind of introduce Tamie a little bit more, read her bio so you can all hear just how amazing she is. So here it is. USA Today bestselling author Tamie Dearen has published more than 20 books, including the Best Girls series and Limitless Clean Billionaire romance series. Tamie believes real life is already full of enough heartache, so she gives her book characters happily ever afters, no matter how difficult their past. Tamie Dearen lives in Texas with her incredibly romantic husband and 2 dogs. She hates dusting and exercising and loves anything musical or artistic. When she's not writing books, you might find her playing with her grandkids or drilling on someone's tooth. So yes, she is also a dentist and an author at the same time. So that's pretty amazing. Okay, so as we, said in our group, we recently did a box set run. Tamie and Michelle and Amy / Anne-Marie and I were all in it together. And so we all kind of have, some ideas to help give you ideas, I guess, on how to do it if you're interested in doing a box set run with other authors. So I came into, Tamie started it as far as I know, and I came into it like a little bit later, so I'm not sure how it all started. So I want to ask how, can you tell us how you decided which publisher to go with? And then also, well, let's start with that.
So the whole idea of getting the title has always been kind of a dream of mine. Mm-hmm. And so when what actually happened was this guy approached a bunch of authors about putting together a clean romance USA Today run. And so I was like, interesting, but didn't, sounded a little fishy. And he gave me some references. So I contacted the references who did not have very good things to say about him.
Okay.
And actually, he ended up being a pretty bad guy and had on a previous set where they were supposed to donate money to a charity. He had taken all the money, and the charity didn't even get anything. So the feds got involved, and there were lawsuits and all sorts of things going on.
Oh, wow.
So in the midst of all this, I met Judith Lucci, who is not a romance author, but she does write mystery and suspense, and she usually had a little bit of romance in there. And she was like, "Oh, hey, you could do this. I've helped lots of other people get a title." And she turns out had made multiple runs in the past and helped other authors. And she's like, "I just like helping people get a title."
Yeah, that's awesome.
So she volunteered to help, and I was like, "Okay, so what do I need to do?" She said, "So for time, it would take you about what it takes to write a 60,000 word novel." And for me, that was a huge underestimate of how much time it took. I suppose some people probably could have done that and really only put a certain amount of time in, but I'm a pretty obsessive person, and
me too. I think we have the same personality.
Yeah. So it really just enveloped every minute of my time, and I just decided, well, I'll just pour myself into it and let that take over. And so she gave me a bunch of forms and kind of set me up and told me everything that I need to do. And the first thing was recruiting some really good authors to write with. And so, you know, knew a lot of people and started contacting them. And we needed to get some people who were also published wide. And I had some contacts. I'd been in a series with some other wide authors. And so I had some contacts there and just started contacting people. And a few people would say, you know, but you really should get this person, you know, and this. And then I almost had too many, like in the end, because I thought when I started asking people that most of them would probably say no, but actually most of them said yes.
They're like, yes, I want that.
They really did. I mean, there were a few that turned me down, and I tried to say, like, they were kind of wishy-washy. I kind of said, you know, if you don't really want this, then don't do it. Because I didn't want somebody to get into it and then not want to put the effort in that it took. Like, you know, I was like, it's going to be a lot of work. And so, you know, yeah, if you don't really want it, then that's okay. You know, it won't hurt my feelings. So that was a process to kind of get started. And then Judith recommended Margaret Daly, who had Rukia Publishing, and she ran the set for us. And that, you know, she knew what she was doing, and, you know, so that really helped. I wouldn't have just started it without somebody who had been through it before. I don't know how people would do that.
Yeah.
I had so many questions, and where I thought that kind of people would sort of figure out what to do, instead every person, like, we had lots of committees and people had jobs, but every person on every committee came to me and said, so what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
You're our leader. We want you to lead us.
Yeah.
Tell us what to do.
Yeah, it was a learning experience for all of us, for sure. But I would say, you know, leadership-wise, my thing was that I'm the kind of personality where I feel very, very much responsible for everyone else. And so since I had asked people to join me, I also was very protective of every author. And I wanted to make sure that it went well, and that, you know, promises were kept, and that, you know, just that everybody felt like that nobody was, you know, treating them badly, or that they hadn't, you know, I just wanted everybody to stay informed and everyone to feel good and to, you know, be on board and happy. I like everybody to be happy all the time. So, which is kind of hard with a bunch of,
yeah, like 21 different authors. Can't make everyone happy.
Strong personalities, you know. So, and I think that's the thing about authors. There's a reason why we're authors. We're all independent. We like to do our own thing. And none of us,
we're all indie authors too.
We're all indie authors, so we're even more independent. And so getting everybody to be wanting to go the same direction was, you know, definitely a challenge. And I didn't want anybody to feel like that somebody was, you know, talking down to them or telling them what to do, you know, because this was supposed to be everybody equal, pushing for the same goal.
Yeah, I think we did pretty good. I thought I never felt talked down to or anything, so I thought it was good. And then so like with because we had a contract that we all signed when we agreed to do this. Did you get the contract from Margaret or Judith, or where did that come from?
We started with a contract that Judith had used before, and kind of just sort of changed the words and the dates and that kind of thing. And then I got a couple of the authors in who were in early on to, you know, look at it and consult, and we kind of looked together and say, you know, hey, do we think we have everything in here? You know, it wasn't I mean, I wouldn't have any idea to how to write a contract if I hadn't seen the contract that had already been written. So we kind of looked it over, and I think then we ended up making a change. I can't remember what it was, but wasn't there some kind of
there's some kind of like addendum or something that Margaret had to send out to that Amazon wanted her to send out or something.
But
I think like what I remember the most like important things that were in the contract was that we had a certain date that the contract needed to be signed, I think, and then we had a certain date we need to agree to have our manuscripts in to you, and we also needed to pay $500 by a certain time period, and that $500 was to go towards advertising and the cover, and to also help pay Rukia Publishing Margaret for her time.
Some of the things that were surprising to me that, I mean, like we've all published our own books, but like, so to give a little background, I really, I had done a run 5 years ago. I was involved in a run, and I told you about this, Judy, but I was involved in a run that had a different publishing company, and it was actually had a bunch of USA Today authors in it, and they were actually trying to push for a New York Times at the time. And that was when it was still possible to do that with a set, which is not anymore. But so the day of release, the book came out, and we had all these tons and tons of pre-orders and stuff, and they hadn't put up the final copy. They had put up a bad copy, and so it had like missing books, and like my book had a repeated chapter in it, and there were just all sorts of just errors in it and stuff. And so, I mean, people started leaving 1-star reviews, and the publishing company was in California, so they weren't even awake. We couldn't even talk to them about it. And so when they woke up and somebody got a hold of them, then they called Amazon to try and get the correct manuscript uploaded, which should have already been done. And Amazon's response was to pull the book. So we lost everything. The book. I think a couple of days later, the book went back up, but by then it was too late. And then all these people had gotten the bad book box set, and the Amazon didn't even send them the updated copy. But they could, if we contacted all these people who we had no way of contacting them, we could tell them that they could contact Amazon, and Amazon would update the book for them. So I mean, you can just imagine it was just a complete disaster. So that made me so paranoid that I determined that I was going to be the one to format this book, and that I was going to be involved in the uploading of the book and that kind of stuff. So even though she was the publisher and she uploaded it, she let me be involved and log into her account, her publishing account, which is very generous, I thought. And be involved in the uploading and checking that thing and seeing that it was really uploaded and there weren't any errors and no missing books.
Well, and because there was also another box set run that went like a month before ours did that had like the same kind of issue happen.
Well, yeah, and theirs wasn't their fault. Theirs was an Amazon issue. They had uploaded theirs on time, and Amazon said they didn't even. And but they had screenshots that, that was Amy, and luckily they had those screenshots to prove that they had done it correctly. So I was just, the whole time I was so sure something was going to go wrong that I didn't even though our numbers were really, really good, I didn't start making a single cover because I didn't want to jinx it until it had actually happened and we had seen in writing that we really had made the list. It was crazy. But one of the things that we had to I learned a whole lot of things. One of them is that there's a data limit for box sets. If you want to charge 99 cents, there's a data limit. And so we couldn't have the books be as long as we wanted, and we couldn't have all the images that we wanted, and we couldn't have all the links that we wanted, because we had to make sure that we were under this data limit. And so I had actually to make sure that we were going to be under the data limit. I actually made a fake box set early on with 21 books in it, and links and all the stuff that we were going to have in there. And I uploaded it to Amazon, because the only way you could tell how much data you have is to actually get all the way over to the pricing page.
Oh, okay.
So I uploaded a fake book and went all the way through, all the way to a pricing page, to make sure that if we had the exact same number of words and links and all this kind of stuff, that we would be under the data limit. And it was, I don't know any other way to do it, because I started asking people, lots of people who had been on other runs and box sets, and they were all like, yeah, I think if you have not any more than this many, I mean, none of them knew. They were all like, I don't know, this is probably okay. I'm like, we can't have a probably okay.
Yeah.
You know,
we need this to go through.
And I couldn't have 21 authors write a book a certain length and then have them say, oh, by the way, y'all all need to cut 5,000 words out of your book. You know, that was not going to go over. So
yeah, I know. So with ours, we ended up having 21 authors, and our word count goal was 25,000 words, I think. Yeah. I know Michelle and Amy's had theirs a little under, so I was like, okay, mine's a little over, so it should be okay. I'm like, I'm just taking your extra words.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so something that I think really helped was also we set up to have the charity also, which was Pets for Vets, because I think that helped incentivize people to do pre-orders.
Right.
Because they knew that all of the pre-order profits would go towards that charity. So that's another thing that people can consider when setting up something like this, to have a charity. And did that come from Margaret? Or? That
came from Judith.
Oh, from Judith. Okay.
Yeah, and she had used, they had used a couple before, and she said, you know, that just in general, the veterans ones are very popular. Pets for Vets had been popular in the past, and I was like, that sounds good. You know, I think our readers would like that. But you have to actually get them to approve, you know, beforehand. You can't just say, oh, we're going to do this for the American Cancer Society. Well, the American Cancer Society isn't going to let you use their logo and their information and use them to, you know, promote your book unless you have like something set up with them. So that actually had to be set up, and Pets for Vets had to agree upon it before we were ever allowed to use any of their stuff or the logos or anything. So that was another place where, you know, Judith said, well, I'll contact them. I've talked to them before. We've done it before. They know that we're good for it, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm not sure exactly how you go about contacting charity organizations like that, but you would have to find your way to the top and get somebody to agree that you could use their organization.
Yeah. So if you're setting up a box set, find an author with connections and have them join. Find one that wants to be USA Today bestselling author as well.
Yes. It really helps. It really does.
Cool. And so then also, so say we have a question right here. So as a new author, how can I get into a box set / anthology? And so is that basically just know people who want to do the same and maybe getting together with them and then brainstorming other authors that you could invite? So that's kind of how I would probably think about it. And authors that write in your same genre.
Right. I mean, pretty much everybody that I talked to were the people that have been talking to me and helping me out, you know, on promotions, and people that have helped me with ideas for books and book covers. And, you know, these are my friends that I made, a lot of them made in the Writing Gals or on Clean Indie Reads or somewhere like that. So, these are people that I knew well. There weren't very many that I didn't know.
Yeah. And I think also maybe being a more established author would probably also help. So maybe not trying it when you're a new author. It might not be as.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm just kind of like a nodding head over here tonight, but I was going to say that I have a lot of kind of like past experience of watching these people talking about box sets or joining box sets, and I used to see it all the time, and it's usually tied in with some of these nefarious people. There's some good ones out there. I don't know how you find the difference, but there are people who just organize these all the time to make a profit off of authors. And some of them might be legitimate, but there's a lot of them that just take advantage of authors. So that's why I never got involved in any of those, because and for one thing, none of them were geared towards what I write anyway.
Right.
So as a new author, you're not going to have a lot to contribute, is one thing I would say. So the ones that you pay to be part of that are like a professional organization to get people on lists, for one thing, you put in a lot more money, and there's a risk where they don't have like a super great track record where like every box set gets on there. And part of that is because it's just anybody who forks over the money ends up on the box set, and there's not a whole lot of oversight to see who's on there. So before you start trying to join a list run group, I would say you need to have established a platform of readers, and you need to know how to write really well, and you need to be able to market and help get the word out there. You need to have a lot to contribute to the group, and not just be like riding on everybody's coattails. And so if getting on a list is something that you want to do someday, then start preparing for it now by putting out good products and building your newsletter and your platform, and by making author connections with people, especially those who are success-minded and ready to work hard.
Yeah, because I know our own platforms paid like a large played a large role in getting there and getting the pre-orders, and
it was amazing to see what happened just when we sent out to our newsletters, just to our own newsletters. It was amazing to see the response. So I mean, we had a lot of reach between those 21 authors. They had a lot of subscribers and a lot of reach. And
I agree. I totally agree with you. You need to be a little bit more established to try it. I also think it'd be good to give Lisa a goal to shoot for. So how many books do you feel you need to have out in order to
I had
do a run
14
like this?
out, or maybe I had 13 because that was my 14th book. So that was my number, but maybe like 10 would be like the lowest, I would say.
I would think that there was kind of a pretty big range within our group.
Yeah.
Even. I mean, it wasn't like we all had similar amounts of books. There was a pretty good range in there. I wouldn't even say it's the amount of books. I would say you need to have a good amount under your. I would say it's more about platform.
Yeah.
Than number of books. Because your backlist isn't going to sell the box set as much as your readers are going to sell the box set. So you need to have a name that people trust, and you need to have people that are your fans and, will buy the box set because your name is on it. So focus on your platform more than anything, which to me, if you can launch a book and get it up into the top 100 bestsellers list regularly in your categories, or to rank pretty high on the Amazon store,
at least to the 1,500 mark in the Amazon store. If
you can get your ranks up to the 2,000, 1,000 range regularly every time you launch, then that's a sign that your platform has grown large enough that you will be able to move copies for the box set.
Mhm.
Good. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
I'm
Good
glad you
goal to
had us
get.
clarify that too. That was good. Because everyone has a different opinion on that.
Yeah, I know when I was looking for people, that I was looking for people that I felt I had traded newsletters with them, and so I knew from my experience of them promoting for me, I knew that I got clicks on my books. I sold books when they sent in their newsletter, so I knew they had a good following. So definitely, I didn't actually like ask people how many subscribers do you have before I recruited them, but I could tell that they had a good. It's not even numbers; it's really the loyalty and whether your subscribers buy your books, or buy the books that you recommend. And so, the other thing is building up that reputation with other authors is really important. So like Michelle said, getting that thing with your readers where your readers are ready for your next book, but also having other authors, sharing for other authors so that the other authors recognize, oh, this person, they've got a good subscriber list, and when they send out their subscribers are going to buy these books.
Yeah. And then another thing we did, I'm just going to go through the things that I thought were helpful, where we set up newsletter swaps with other authors. Like I think each of us was supposed to go out and find 10 authors if we could to share our box set. And then we had like a Google document to kind of keep track so that not everyone was contacting the same authors over and over again. So, but I think that was like one of the bigger things that
was one of the hardest things.
Yeah, like when they put the list, I'm like, I'm gonna put my name down now so no one else can contact them.
So like I had a problem because I was launching a book right when that went up. And so I was in the middle of newsletter swaps for my new launch and had already been contacting everybody. And I was just like all in the middle of this launch. And then all of a sudden, and I was really busy during the prep work for this box set. And so I was always like,
coronavirus happened too. So that was
I had all my kids home, my husband was home. I was still trying to, it was just like this whole big thing. But all of a sudden, like I'm a couple days late on seeing that I'm supposed to be, now's the time, get your newsletter people in. And I was like, everybody's taken.
Yes.
Because we were all in the same category and we all knew each other. We are all swapping with each other. And so almost all of my newsletter regulars were already
in the set.
by somebody else, or they were in the set, or somebody else in the set had already connected with them, and I wanted to carry my load, and so I just really had to go out and be creative and think, okay, who has not been on this list before? And luckily I had the writing gals. I was like, okay, well, I may not have a super, super big like pool of people left to ask, but we can ask the writing gal.
Yeah. And they were so kind and helped us out too to get those.
So hopefully that made up for the fact that I think I only found like 6 or 7 people.
that was still a good amount. We made it, so it all worked out.
That's right. Yes.
And so what we also did, so we had different committees. I think Tamie kind of said that, and we used Trello and a Facebook group to kind of keep in contact with all of the authors in it. And so we used Trello to kind of have the different committees and also just like checklists to kind of tell us what we were supposed to do and when things were due. And so there was a checklist where you got to check off your name when you paid your $500 to cover the advertising costs and everything. And then we had a checklist for because we each also did our own covers for our novellas, even though they weren't really used in the actual box set being published, but it was useful to have it for advertising purposes for making graphics. And so we each had our own cover done that we each took care of on our own. And then we had the box set cover that was done by a committee. And then what are some other committees we had? We had like we also had to have our individual blurbs done for our books by a certain time. And so we uploaded those into a document. And we tried to keep those under a certain word limit, which was maybe like, I don't remember, was it like 50 words? It seemed really short.
It was 50 words. Yeah. It was like, okay, do I need this and? Do I need this the?
I know. Yeah, that was exciting. Mine might have been like 52 words at the end, so sorry about that. I write long. That's what I say. And then what other committees did we have? We had like some people that were in charge of, like, we had a Facebook group called the Sweet Kisses Romance Readers or something like that, where people could go and find out more if they were excited about our box
cover
set.
Committee.
Yeah, a cover committee that worked on that. And we had like an advertising committee and then an ARC committee. And I think I was in charge of that one. And I can just kind of say what we did with that in case people are interested in knowing what we did. So we each have our own ARC teams, of course, because we like to get reviews on our own individual books. But since we didn't want to have, some of us have pretty large ones, and we didn't want to send this box set to each and every person's ARC teams, because then those people are like, well, I'm not going to pre-order it because I'm getting it for free. And so we each just had every author find like 10 ARC readers who would be willing to read the whole box set, because it was like a big undertaking. So I just told my people, if you want to read a book that's like 7 times my regular book size, let me know. And then we gave preference to those who had who would review on the wide platforms and on Goodreads. And then I used a certified mail campaign and book funnel so that it would give them only one copy, so they couldn't like share the link with other people. And then also it was able to just, I automatically had it set up to send a reminder email on the day that it went live with all the details so that they would know to post their reviews. So that's how that worked. And the main advertising we used was, we did a lot of like Facebook ads, and I think we had AMS ads and BookBug ads. And also I know Margaret, I think, set up some with like the like newsletter promotions, like Robin Reads and Faithful Reads and I don't know, Free Booksy, or not Free Booksy, Bargain Books or whatever. So we used a lot of those to have those go out that first, like when it was published.
So with a box set, the hardest part is getting the wide sales. Mm-hmm. And you have to have at least 500. And so one of the things is, like, say, the first thing, we actually got more sales on iBooks than we did Barnes & Noble. And you have to think about the fact that not all of those iBook sales are U.S. sales. So only a certain number of them are U.S. sales. We don't know how many, but only the U.S. sales get reported to USA Today. And so we had to get a lot of wide sales in order to make sure that we would have 500.
So 500 total or 500 per platform?
So for the platform to report, they were supposed to have 500. Like,
okay, so
they're not obligated to report if they don't have 500.
Okay,
interesting.
If they have 500, they're obligated to report.
So you want over 500 for each platform, because you don't know if there's some foreign ones in there that won't count.
Right. And what you really want are the Barnes & Noble ones, even more so, because those are all U.S. now, right? Because they closed in Europe. They're only open in U.S.
Okay.
So
we definitely pushed
Noble. Yeah.
We definitely pushed the wide platforms first, and the way we did that was we didn't even make the Amazon link, like the Amazon pre-order, available until like a month or more after the other ones, after we'd been gaining pre-orders on those other platforms. And so we'd like told our newsletters about the pre-order when it was only available on those wide platforms and tried to get as many as we could.
And we begged them.
Yeah, we did.
And I begged my friends. I was like, please buy it on iBooks. You've got an iPhone, you could do it, you know. But it was really hard. I mean, it's just, you know, people talk about like pulling teeth, and that was like really, yes, it was like pulling teeth. It was difficult.
And you know, because you do that for a living.
Yes, I know, because I actually do that. So yeah, it was really difficult to get those wide sales. And then the authors were all like, give us the Amazon link. I can get people to pre-order on Amazon. We're like, I know, but we need the wide sales.
And we still had plenty of time when the Amazon link was live, because we still had like 2 months before.
Yeah,
at least
plenty of time with the Amazon link. But that was the other thing, that me, who likes everyone to be happy, at least once or twice a day, an author would text me or message me and say, when are we going to get the Amazon link? Because I really need the Amazon link. I was like, okay, but sorry, we can't give you that yet. We're going to do it soon, but.
Oh, I didn't realize they were messaging you so much.
Oh, yeah, multiple.
So if you're in charge, be ready for lots of messages.
Lots of messages. Yeah. So
let it be your full-time job for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. And so were there any other things you think? So I know that we had the pre-order total time for was it like 3 months, or was it, I think it came up in April, maybe like April, and then the book went live June or July 21st. So it was like a 3-month pre-order time total.
Yeah.
As many as we could.
Yeah. And I think we got it up a little early, a little earlier than we put it up as early as we could. And you didn't have to have the book manuscript to put the pre-order up, of course. Mm-hmm. And Amazon used to have a limit of 3 months for pre-orders, and right, and they don't anymore. So you can have a longer pre-order. And so I know some people have done these runs and had a long pre-order, and then other people have done them really short pre-orders. Mm-hmm. So this was about all I could have handled. I don't think I could.
Yeah, I think we did it just right. The 3 month thing.
It was just right.
Yeah, and so we tried to get the 500 on each of the platforms, and then with Amazon, we wanted to have at least, how many was it, 8,000 before we went live.
Yeah, that was what we were looking for, was 8,000, because once again on Amazon, not all of those are going to be U.S. sales. Mm-hmm. And so we figured if we had 8,000 on Amazon, that 7,000 would be U.S. sales. Mm-hmm. Really, it's probably about 10% of them on average are international. So that would give us an idea, but we didn't have any way of knowing. They don't list it on the pre-orders, it just gives you a number, so you have no idea where those pre-orders are from. Mm-hmm. So, and we also had a newsletter sign up for the set. Mm-hmm. And we had some authors gave away books, and people signed up to follow. And I know it is interesting that I got a lot of people who, when the set went live, I got a lot more subscribers, from, mm-hmm. because that is one thing that it did for us. If we hadn't made the list, it was still really good exposure.
Yeah, and still getting our writing out to those 10,000 people.
A lot of people, mm-hmm. To see your writing, and mm-hmm. It was interesting, because I loved reading the reviews, and people would say, mm-hmm. there were a lot of people that I had never read them before, but mm-hmm. I really liked them. Now I have new people that I want to follow.
Yeah, and a smart idea to do if you're gonna do one of these, have your novella attached to a series you already have going, so that the readers are like, well, I need the next book. So that's something to think about.
Yeah.
Mine was part of my new series that I have going on, and I would not be surprised at all if the box set has helped me to maintain my higher ranks for the last couple of months on it, because that book is still out there people are finding it. I'm getting people in my reader group a lot and newsletter subscribers, and so there's still trickling.
Yes, you definitely want to make sure that you are also like, because this is an opportunity, you want to put forth your best work as well. There's a lot of people that will be judging you based on that one little sample of your writing.
Yeah. You don't want to just throw any old thing up there just to make the word count and get your title in the box set. You want it to be something that is going to represent who you are and convince people to come and follow you. And one thing that was interesting with my newsletter readers was I had a lot of people emailing me and be like, are you going to publish this later? Because I don't really like box sets, but I really want to read your book. And I was like, well, that's not going to help me very much.
Yeah, I didn't tell anyone it's coming out in November.
And so I was just like, I was like, well, there's a lot of other great reasons to buy the box set, even if, it's not
only 99 cents. I'm going to publish it for $2.99 later on.
You can meet all these other authors. It's going to charity and it'll help me to get on the list. I'm like, but it's always surprising to me how many people don't actually like box sets. Yeah. But there are people out there who feel overwhelmed by them.
Yeah.
That it's just too much and they, can't take like 21 stories.
Just click to my name on the table of contents and you'll be fine.
You can't just read my book if you want to, but
don't have to read them all. Just buy it.
Yeah. And one thing that you have to remember doing a box set, especially with this many authors and this many good authors, is that the reviews are likely going to be comparing all the books in the set. And I've done a lot of box sets before, and that's always a hard thing for me to be compared in a review to another author. And so I was like, great, now I have 20 other authors that I'm going to be compared to in reviews.
Well, yours was a favorite, so this worked out just fine.
A lot of people said that. There were also people who had critical things to say about it.
Yeah, some people said mine was too steamy. I'm like,
yeah, I think I don't know that review too. That said, Judy and I were like, wow, they're not going to like our regular book. Instead of having like 2 kisses, we're gonna,
we'll get 3 in the next one.
Oh goodness!
I didn't even have I don't have French kissing in my books. I don't have wrapping legs around people. It's not.
I have no idea why mine was steamy. Mine was all emotions and no physical descriptions hardly at all.
We just did good with the emotions, and they just got really excited. I don't know.
Well, I think one thing that's interesting is there was a mix in our group of Christian authors and then sweet authors, which meant we had a mix of Christian readers and clean and wholesome readers. And there can be a difference with some of them. And some Christian readers are a lot more
they just want the peck.
Selective on how far they want their book or their the physical side of their book to go. And that and mine takes place at a lingerie store called Booms and Nibbles, so that might have been part of it too. I was just
that is the best name for a lingerie store ever.
I told my kids about it and they thought it was so funny.
Yeah, my 5-year-old was brilliant when she came up with that. So, that's where I got it from. But yeah, so it was just a kind of a mix in the reviews. So if reviews are going to be something that's going to be hard for you, just remember that maybe you don't want to read all the reviews on the box set. So
yeah, because some of the reviewers would be coming there from, some of the other authors' biggest fans. And so they're, of course, they love that author's writing already. Yeah. We already know that. And they might have a little bit of a different style than you. So
yeah. So just understand that going in. Yep. And then one thing that was hard for me about doing the box set was just making time for it in the middle of my regular writing schedule. And because I write and release and write and release and write and release, it was hard for me to take time out of that schedule and write this book that was not going to be published till down the road to get benefit from. Does that, and I'm glad I did it. Obviously, it was worth it. And I kept telling myself, like, if it was just like any other like box set just to make money, it wouldn't have been as worth it. But to get on a list, it was worth it. But you do have to kind of understand it's going to be an interruption in your usual publishing schedule. Not just writing the book, but all of the marketing and all of the work that goes into it is going to interrupt your regular publishing schedule. And then also mine, I had to write, it's basically like book 2.5 in my series, and I had to write it before book 2. Which was complicated. I had to really think about, okay, what will have happened in book 2 that I need to reference and tie into this book. And I had to tie in book 3 to it, which I was just throwing like random, was like, well, I guess this is what we're doing for book 3.
See, mine wasn't that interconnected at all. It had a character that showed up, but that was like...
Mine was very interconnected. So that was a fun challenge.
Yeah.
One of the things you said, though, just now is like it was worth it because you made the list. And the other thing that you have to remember when you do this is there's no guarantee that you'll make the list. So you have to make up your mind, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it my all. And but you know, having been on one that failed, I mean, it was devastating. Yeah. And I tried really hard not to count on it this time. But I did really.
I knew we were going to. I knew we were going to do it.
I felt bad for you, Tamie, because I could tell you were super, super anxious about it. And I was like, there's no way we don't get on the list. Once I saw the numbers the last couple of weeks, and I had like 2 or 3 other specific people making the list and their numbers that they vaguely shared for me to be like, oh, we're doing good. Like, we're doing good. As long as Amazon doesn't do something funky with our manuscript, like, our numbers are good, you know? And so I
can see definitely having the previous experience that would have made me like, I would have been anxious the whole time. So I'm kind of glad I didn't know about that until afterwards, because they're all tired of like, So
it was
Thanks
nice.
for keeping that a secret for me.
It was nice to just be able to be like, oh, this is something to look forward to, because I am pretty positive. I didn't make covers either or anything like that, but I was pretty confident. And that's the good thing that our box set did really well, is we didn't just bring in good enough numbers. I feel like we kept and you were really good about that, Tamie. Like, once we made a certain level where we could have probably all been like, this is about what we were aiming for. You're like, we got to keep going. We got to keep pushing, keep getting those orders in, because, you know, we can't just be satisfied in case we're wrong, because every week you never know what competition you're going to be up against. Right. And so like what might have made the list last week might not make the list this week, because you have a whole new set of books and sales that you're competing for those spots with. So it's not like if you reach a certain number, you're going to automatically make the list, because it's all about the competition week to week. And so Tamie did a good job of not letting us slack off. Even when we made our initial
driver,
she was like, we need more. And
we did it. Yay. We made it to number 37. Yay.
Yeah. That's you're talking about it being different from week to week. And that's really true. And if you looked at the list, it's just dominated by the traditional publishers. And most of the books on the list were not new releases. Most of the books were books that had been on there 3, 4, 5, 6. Some of them had been on there for 10, 15 weeks.
Some of them for decades.
Some of them for decades. Yeah, I mean, and so, you know, the competition is rough, but there are some months that are better than others. And January is actually supposed to be a pretty good month, I've heard. And Judith in particular had made it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times in July. So she liked July. So I was like, okay, July sounds good. So, you know, we did try to pick a month that traditionally had fewer numbers. But the other thing that was happening is in the middle of all this COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, they were like, we need to do all this before school gets out because, people, when in the summertime, the kids are home and people don't read as much. I was like, the kids are home. The kids are home now.
I was planning on them being in school so I could write the book.
Right.
That didn't work.
Yeah, so COVID just kind of threw a wrench into everything, and we had no idea what to expect on the numbers, on how many books we would sell or how many we needed to sell or anything. So it was kind of crazy.
I think we were really fortunate in the romance genre with COVID sales because, as I mentioned in one of my presentations in our conference, romantic comedy, romance in general, and historical romance have all seen an increase in sales compared to other genres, like dystopian and books where things are tense or going wrong. Mm-hmm. People aren't reading those as much, but they're coming to romance more and more often because they want that happy escape. Mm-hmm. So, but you never know which way that's going to go when you have something like this going, and people could have been like, I don't feel like reading. I don't want to read, So, but we were kind of fortunate that romance sales are still doing well in the middle of all this. So that helped.
Definitely.
I don't know if many pandemic stories would have box sets would have made.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't go that way. Okay. Any other thoughts that we think people would need to know before going into this kind of a thing?
I was going to say one of the things that we did was you can pay a publisher to do just about everything, or you can do a lot of work yourself. And we did a lot of work. We like our publisher did the Amazon ads and all of the newsletter ads, and she had lots of connections and places that she used that I had never heard of before. But like the Facebook ads, we did ourselves. Actually, Amy did the Facebook ads. She had a committee that helped her. They, found some images for her, but really she did the Facebook ads herself. And so that saved us money. And also, frankly, she's good at them. And so,
she teaches a course on it. So
right.
Yay for having Amy with us.
So, we paid somebody else. We probably wouldn't have gotten nearly as good, in my opinion.
Especially because she knows the sweet romance genre really well, too. She knows how to do
it. We paid a cover designer, but in the end, we didn't use their design, and we, ended up using Amy's design. And then, it's like I formatted it, did the, saved us the formatting fee, and I made the box set cover out of Amy's design, and so there were a lot of things that we did that saved us money. And really, saving money wasn't really my reason. It was really more of a control thing because I'm a control freak, if you haven't figured that out yet. And
and plus we're all like successful indie authors, so we already like know how to do a lot of these things as well.
Right.
So it makes sense that we could do it.
That was one thing that, as just being part of the set, was always kind of the question was, is this something that I need to speak up about, or is this something that I'm just going to be flexible with and let it ride? Because there are going to be a lot of opinions. I mean, there were a ton of opinions about the cover. I have a hard time making decisions about just my own cover with just myself to worry about. But when you have a whole bunch of other authors all trying to, give input and then, make a decision, it can be a big thing. And so, but at the same time, I feel, and we probably all feel, that was one of the key elements, to being able to sell this book, was to have a really good cover. So it wasn't something that we could, not do our best on. So, but there were just a lot of things that come up when you're working, and I guess I underestimated how much I was going to need to do. I felt kind of like, oh, I'm just going to write my book and do my blurb and do my tagline and turn everything in and do what, like, I've been sent on the committee, send it out to my newsletter. Like, I had these things, and then there just ended up being a lot more that came up. And so you're going to have to, like, I'm in for this. This is what I'm doing. And then you roll with it. And, you know, at some point just make the decision about like, okay, this is something I feel strongly enough about to speak up about, but always be civil and respectful and understand that there's a lot of people involved and a lot of opinions and a lot of emotions and a lot of stress. And, you know, I think I've seen a lot of box sets where there were a lot of really poor feelings at the end, or especially I've seen box sets where authors got mad because half of the authors didn't contribute very much to the actual work. But they would just pay their fee and send their book in and wouldn't do much else to contribute. And that obviously leaves a bad taste in the mouth of the authors who work really, really hard. So if you're
I think it's good,
ahead.
good that we had like the lists on Trello where we each had to check off certain things and just kind of know what we were supposed to be doing.
Which I know why we use Trello, but I don't like Trello.
I started using it for my own things afterwards. I'm like, I
was
like
like,
Trello.
I have to learn to use this whole new thing. And I was having so much trouble with it because I could log into it through my phone or through my computer, but it wouldn't let me through the other one. And I kept trying to log in with the other one. I never could. And so every time I had to go check on something,
We gave up in the end and just did it on Facebook.
Facebook is my thing. That's where I am all the time. That's where I see messages. And Trello was more organized.
So organized. It's really great. If you have to, especially if you are ever doing like a group project with individual books in a common world, it is so good for that. It really, I can just tell you, I mean, you may never do that, so you may not ever knew it. But if you're out there and you're ever thinking about doing some kind of thing, you should look it up. It actually, you know, it just takes a little bit of time. It's pretty intuitive. It's not hard.
It was hard for me.
Yeah.
So
that's because you didn't have time for it. You know?
Yeah, that was the thing, was I had to learn it in the middle of all the other things I was doing. And so I was super glad that I could also get the information I needed on Facebook. And every once in a while, Tamie would be like tapping my shoulder, Michelle, go check Trello. You haven't done this on Trello. And I'm like, oh, okay.
So tagging people in the Facebook group comes in handy sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, you just give me a shout out on Facebook and I am aware. But the Trello thing, I kept missing stuff because my inbox is also just kind of like this rolling thing. Like Victorine likes to get emails in her inbox because then she remembers to do things. But for me, my inbox is just a blur of things that I'm, you know.
Yes, but for instance, to tag on Facebook, I had to individually input each name and then get Facebook to recognize who that was and make it tag that person. So doing that every time was really hard.
Yeah. You just can't copy and paste.
Right. Yeah. Whereas on Trello, I could just automatically say, you know, send it to everybody. And so it would have been easy if it had taken off, but there were too many. It wasn't just you, Michelle. There were a number of authors who had the same complaint. So we ended up abandoning it. But you know,
it's tricky.
Sorry for that trauma. I'm sorry. I traumatized you.
No, it wasn't your fault. It was just Trello just didn't like me very much. And I didn't appreciate like it not letting me into it on my whatever device it was, because I think it was my computer, because it's hard for me to do anything on my phone. And I just wanted to be able to get on my computer where I could see things big, you know, and I could read things easier instead of on my, and you know how so many apps and things have like less functionality on the phone than they do on the computer. And I was just like, why can't I get this to log me in on my computer where I can like do things better? But in the end, that was just a personal frustration for me. And that's kind of what I was just going to say is you will probably face some personal frustrations along the way in something like this. And you're just going to have to, you know, keep going and keep working and keep trying and just understand going in that it's not going to be like this Skippy sunshine and rainbows walk through the park. It's going to be hard work and stress and frustration. And
go ahead. I was just going to say it was a pretty amazing group in that I felt like at the end, after working all this time together, that we all liked each other still. which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, as far as I can see, zero hard feelings. I mean, we were all real good friends and just able to celebrate and be happy with each other. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I agree. I had something else I was going to say, and then I just forgot it. It was really good, of course. Okay, so there is a question. Deirdre, I don't know if that's how you say the name. I'm not very good at pronouncing things, sorry. She says, do you think you could do the same thing using a box set of your own series, or does it only work with a mixture of authors? And I know you can definitely do it. Like, I've seen authors do it with just their own, just single book.
I don't know what the point of doing it with a box set of your own would be.
Yeah,
though.
I wouldn't do a box set of your own, just a single book.
Maybe it would be like a incentive to buy because it was a box set, but
I think it would be harder to do it with your own box set, just because I have found personally, Amazon does not promote box sets like they do a new book. They just don't. They don't put the muscle behind it. And I think that's one reason why launches go so well, is because Amazon puts their muscle behind trying to sell this new book, and box sets just flatline for me until I put a ton of advertising dollars in. So I would do it with a single book and try and get some really big ads going. You can also do it with an older book if you get a BookBub, and
that's
it's
what Amy
wide
did
and
it's
it's 99 cents.
we were doing it. BookBub, and
you can hit it.
Well, and Amy with her single title, she not only had a series that was already, she knew had a track record for selling well for her. And she got the BookBub, and she was able to have the know-how and the budget to really put some advertising behind it when she saw she had a chance of making the list. And she had already been working wide and getting to know how to move things wide. And that's something that I wasn't at all ready for at this stage in my career, because I am KU only. And I am not as good at ads as Amy is. So that was, the box set was a real benefit for me, because I wasn't able to do anything with wide or anything on my own yet. At some point down the road, I maybe, but I wasn't yet. So
so if you do want to do it on your own, definitely wait until you're like established and
know what you're doing and how to sell books on other platforms than just Amazon. And part of my problem is that I've been grooming my newsletter and my readers to have Kindle Unlimited memberships. I like that. Like, for me, I'm always like, they've got free memberships right now for any of you who don't have one, or I encourage you to go get a membership. Because for me, if they don't have to pay for my book and they just have to click, then they're more likely to do it. And I get paid, well, but mostly it's just like taking that hesitation away from my readers, that they don't have to wonder, like, is it worth $3 for me to buy this book? Because they don't have to pay anything for it. So I would have a hard time convincing all my readers that I've been grooming to be KU readers, like, all of a sudden, go buy it on iBooks and go buy it on, on Barnes & Noble and Kobo, and that would be hard for me in my present position. So,
Okay, so Lacey Anderson is asking, she says, I'd love to know what your advertising budget was and where you focused the majority of that money. And so I know we had 21 authors put in $500, but I don't think we used all of that for advertising. Do you have any idea, Tamie? Because I don't have any of the numbers of what we spent on advertising.
Wow. So I don't know. Gosh, I probably have that information. Like, I can access it, but
I know Amy said we didn't spend very much on our Facebook ads. That's all I know. Like, we didn't spend a ton.
No, we really didn't spend a ton. We got a lot from our newsletters, and then of course the week of we had some newsletter paid promo newsletters that we did during pre-order, but she did save most of them for release week, and because you just get more bang for your buck. You don't get a lot of pre-order people buying pre-orders from those newsletters. But we did I'm trying to think. I'm sure.
I know we didn't go over what we had.
Oh, no. But, even the most expensive ones, I mean, we paid for a new release alert on BookBub. And we had some BookBub ads going too as well. And of course, BookBub ads will just suck your money, in my opinion. But the last time that I looked, like before week, we had only spent like probably $2,000 on advertising before release week. But then during release week, we spent a lot of money. But yeah, so the majority of the money really was going out during the release week. The rest of it was kind of spread out. I think that's right. It might have been three. I think it was about $3,000 that we had spent before release week came, and then there were a bunch of things scheduled, and I don't know how much those were because I didn't look again.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that we were like everything that could possibly be booked, we were booked for during the release week.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that added up, but I think it would be daunting though if you're by yourself. You don't have the manpower to get as many newsletter trades as we did.
Yeah.
And so you would have to depend on paid advertising, and it would all be out of your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm just wondering if you could make up for the effect of the newsletter trades with, I don't know, how much would you need?
I'd say if you were spending individually and didn't have an enormous newsletter, you would probably need to be ready to spend 10 grand or more.
Yeah,
I think too.
And personal advertising to be able to do it. So
yeah, I would think so too, because I'm sure we spent at least 5 during release week. I would think with all the things she had scheduled, so many every day that were scheduled, and plus all the Amazon ads and BookBub ads and Facebook ads that were going at the time. So
yeah
probably so. But gosh, 10,000 of your own money would be scary to do
on an if.
But now if you are already wide and your books are going well and you land a BookBub
and you're already used to spending the big numbers on ads,
right, then
it's a different thing. So that's why doing a solo list run is really like a next step, up kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know some authors, they just make it just randomly. They didn't even try. So
what? I made the bestsellers list. Wow, I wasn't even paying attention.
Well,
are you making fun of me?
Exactly.
Yeah, Victory New York Times.
Yeah.
Well, I hit the USA
the
Today
New York
twice.
Times, but yeah.
I hit the USA Today list twice, and the first time was with the one that hit the New York Times as well, and I really wasn't trying for it. It was just rising automatically. And then the second time I hit the USA Today list, it was with a BookBub ad on a book that was wide, and I wasn't even really trying that time either. I just bought a BookBub and that's all I did. I didn't do anything else, and it just hit the list. So.
Yeah, Victorine told me her secret. Go back to 2011.
Yes, that's the secret.
So figure out how to do that and let us all know.
How expensive is it to build a time machine? That's where you should invest your money right now.
Yes. Okay, I think that let me see. Oh, do we know which paid promos were the best? I think it just depends on which genre you're writing, of course. So, I don't know.
It kind of doesn't even matter. Like, you pretty much just have to do them all.
Just get them all.
Right. Yeah. I think paid promos in just like you said depends on your genre, but Everybody seems to think that after BookBub, in clean romance anyway, that Robin Reed's is about the best. But the thing that authors have been saying in my groups lately is that they don't see nearly as much return on 99-cent books on any of the paid promos anymore as they used to.
Yeah.
So there it would be, that's one of the things, like a 99-cent book that's actually 21 books is a little bit more enticing than just a 99-cent book. And so, then somebody said, hey, if you had your own box set, I don't know, maybe you could get more for your advertising on a 99-cent box set. I don't know. But it's like, then a lot of your readers would have already bought the books. And so
because they want something new too.
Right. That's the only thing, unless you like saved all the books and didn't put any of them out individually and then just posted the box set and they were all new, that would be, I don't think that would probably be a very good marketing plan.
Yeah, because all the hours.
Right. If you were to get a BookBub ad at 99 cents and you were wide with a box set, you could possibly hit it by yourself with that. Just because, and especially if you get a BookBub in one of the really large categories. Like when I did it, it was in the contemporary romance category, not a smaller subcategory.
Somebody was saying that they had been told that sweet romance couldn't make the list, and they were glad we proved them wrong. So, actually, I think quite a few sweet romance people had made the list.
Yeah.
And then Lori is asking, when you have a box set with multiple authors, how does the money get split and how do you do it with your taxes? So right now, there's not been money to split because everything's gone into selling the book and to the charity. And so we all went into this knowing like we are investing $500 and it might be more or less depending on what box set you're in and what your people, like that was just where we landed. And, if somewhere down the road in the KU, correct me if I'm wrong, Tamie, but we're in our one KU enrollment period before we pull our book out of the box set. And so all the pre-orders went to the charity, and whatever the book makes over the time span that it's in the KU enrollment and gets turned back to the authors after expenses will be split evenly between all the authors. And we don't know where that's going to land. And it might pay back part of our investment in it, or it might not, or it might be a little bit more. But I would not go into a box set with the idea of making money on it. Like, I'm going to make money on that book when I resell it. Or
and when you put USA Today bestselling author above your name, then maybe people will buy your other books.
This was an investment in every sense of the word. Financially, time-wise, effort-wise, the fact that it was a complete risk. It is, all investments are risky, and that's what this was. But what I was trying to make back from it was not royalties. It was the list. So you just have to remember that going into it.
But in the end, when that accounting is done and we get paid, which, there's always a delay too, even a couple of months after it gets pulled, then all that money will be split, and the Rukia Publishing is going to send out the money, and we'll get 1099s from her publishing company for tax purposes. Because she has to account for that, so it doesn't look like it's all her money. So she needs to make sure that it shows that it's dispersed back to us.
Which will just go into your regular list of where your money came in for the year.
Unless you're totally insane, you need a publishing company to do that, because I can't even imagine having to do that on top of the other stuff that I already did. I mean, I don't think I would be alive today to talk to you.
You're USA Today bestselling author, but then you died doing it.
It's so sad.
She gave everything.
Her posterity will make millions off of her title.
All right.
think that is all. I don't think we have any more questions that I'm seeing. So yeah, hopefully that was informative and gives you kind of an idea of what it is like, and you can decide if it's something you want to attempt or not. I think, at least I'm really happy that I did it. I'm glad that it worked out and we were able to succeed at our goal.
Yes.
Might take a little time to recover a little bit, especially, Tamie had a lot on her shoulders, so it might take a little longer than the rest of us, but I think it was definitely something that we are glad that we did. Probably wouldn't want to do it again. So we're glad that it worked out this time. But yeah, I think, it was great. Go ahead and try it if you want. Got a good idea of what it was like. So thank you for joining us. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, go ahead and do that so you can know when we're live again. And you can join our Facebook group, which is the Writing Gals. There's lots of conversations going on all about writing in there and lots of friends to be made. So we'll see you in the beginning of September.
Oh yeah, it might be 3. Yeah, first Thursday of September. We'll see you. We'll be back.
See ya.